Hello, Gaudi class, and welcome to our comprehension for this week. For the next few comprehension lessons, we're going to be looking at the book Katie and the Sunflowers, which you can either watch as a YouTube video, or you can go back to Monday's English lesson where Mrs. Jallaf read it for you if you're not sure of the book. What we're going to do is we're going to answer some questions based on this story. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to read the first page. And you can either pause me and read it for yourself, or you can follow along with me and then pause afterwards and read it for yourself afterwards. Grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden when it started to rain. Oh, good, said Grandma. The rain will make everything grow. But what shall we do now, said Katie. Let's go to the gallery, said Grandma. You always have fun there. So if you want to read it again, pause the video, read it, and then come back when you're ready. Let's have a look at the questions. Where was Katie at the beginning of the story? So where was Katie? So let's have a look. Grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden. So she was in the garden at the beginning of the story. And who was she with? Well, that's the first word, wasn't it? Grandma was helping Katie. So she's with Grandma. Let's check our answers. So she was in the garden and she was with Grandma. Again, if you'd like to read it for yourself, just pause or fast forward through me. When they arrived, Grandma sat down to rest, so Katie went off by herself to look around. The gallery was full of warm, sunny paintings. Katie liked a painting called Sunflowers by Vincent van Gogh. So let's have a look at the questions. What colours do you think the artists had used in their paintings? So it doesn't tell you what colours, it tells you what kind of colours. So what I want you to do is I want you to find that where it tells you what kind of colours. And then in your head, I need you to think about what would those colours be? You might want to pause and write down the answer. So it says that they used warm, sunny paintings. Warm, sunny paintings. What colours are warm to you? So in my head, warm colours are like sunshine. They're yellow, they're orange, they're red, maybe some gold in there. So they're warm colours. So red, that's what I said, wasn't it? And why is the word sunflowers written like that? So we call that italics. So it's sort of like it's on its side, it's slanted. So why is it written like that? And it's written like that to show us that it is the name of the painting. Okay, moving on. Again, if you don't want to listen to me read, fast forward through it, read it for yourself. The sunflowers looked dry and crunchy and were full of seeds. Perhaps I could grow the seeds in the garden, said Katie. She slowly reached out to touch them and found they were real. So let's have a look at the questions. What words does the author use to describe the seeds? And what was surprising about the sunflowers? I'm sorry, that's not correct. It's not what words does he use to describe the seeds. It's what words does he use to describe the flowers. So I apologise for that. That should say flowers. Let's change it to a black pen so you can actually see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Keep my pen back. Okay. So what words does the author use to describe the flowers? And then what was surprising about the sunflowers? So pause the video, write down your answer to those two questions, and then we'll come back and do those answers together. So let's have a look at the answers together. So what words does the author use to describe the flowers? So he says the sunflowers looked dry and crunchy and were full of seeds. So they looked dry and crunchy and full of seeds. You could have and full of seeds if you wanted, but dry and crunchy is how they looked. What was surprising about the sunflowers? She slowly reached out to touch them. So she's in a gallery with paintings, and found they were real. That's not what you're expecting if you're in a gallery. You're not expecting your plants to be real. So the flowers were dry and crunchy, they were real. But Katie knocked the vase. It wobbled and fell right out of the picture, spilling the sunflowers and seeds all over the floor. Oh no, said Katie, I'd better clear this up before anyone sees. So again, pause the video and read it for yourself, and then see if you can answer the questions. What did the vase do before it fell out of the picture? So what did it do before it fell out of the picture? And the second one, what words tell us that Katie is worried about what she has done? And please make sure you take the words from the story, okay? Don't make up your own. You're finding the words in the story. So pause the video, have a go at those two questions, and then we'll answer them together. Okay, so what did the vase do before it fell out of the picture? So here it fell right out of the picture. Oops, sorry. Fell right out of the picture. So what did it do before that? It wobbled. Okay, and what words tell us that Katie is worried? Katie says, oh no, said Katie, I'd better clear this up before anyone sees. So she doesn't want anyone to know what she's done. So she's worried that she's going to get in trouble if anyone sees. So you could just put, oh no, because that would show you she's worried. Oh no. Or you could have it all. Oh no, I'd better clear this up before anyone sees. Up to you. Oh no would have been absolutely fine as an answer. Next one. Just then, Katie heard someone laughing. She looked around, but there was no one else in the room. The laughter was coming from a painting called Breton Girls Dancing by Paul Gauguin. What's so funny? Said Katie, climbing inside. And before we look at the questions, I'm just going to show you again, you've got Breton Girls Dancing in that italics, slanting. So, because again, that's the name of a picture. That's not one of the questions I'm going to ask you. So the questions are, what words tell us that Katie was alone in the room? And again, you want words that are in the passage, not making up your own words. What words tell us? So copy the words from here that say she was alone in the room. How do you know she was alone? And why were the Breton girls dancing? So pause the video and see if you can answer those two questions, and then come back and we'll go through the answers together. So what words tell us that Katie was alone in the room? So she said, just then Katie heard someone laughing. She looked around, but there was no one else in the room. So, no, my pen is stuck. There was no one else in the room. So that tells us that she was alone. There was no one else in the room. No one else, she's alone. And why were the Breton girls dancing? Well, they were laughing. Why were they laughing? They were laughing at Katie spilling the seeds because they thought it was funny. But it doesn't tell you that. You just have to know that if you watch someone spilling something, you'd probably laugh. You'd then help them, I hope, but you would laugh. So there was no one else in the room, we said that, and because Katie had spilt sunflowers. And the problem with that is we have to guess that. We have to infer. That's a very smart word. And we have to infer it. We have to kind of think, why would they be laughing? What's happened that's made them laugh? Because it doesn't say they were laughing at Katie. Let's move on. Okay. Katie saw that she was on a farm. The girls, who were called Maisie, Musette and Mimi, giggled and pointed to the mess in the gallery. You'll be in trouble if anyone finds out, Mimi said. Well, I didn't mean to knock over the vase, said Katie. I don't suppose you could help me clear it up. And I've put the whole of the page from the book here so that you can see where the writing is. And all I've done is enlarge the writing for you because there's a reason that the author has done that. So, first question, how many Breton girls were there? And the second question is, how does the illustrator, the person who draws the pictures, help us to know that Katie is on a farm? And I think I've just given you a huge clue as to that. So again, pause the video, see if you can find the answer to those two. How many Breton girls were there? And how does the illustrator help us to know that Katie is on a farm? And then come back and we'll go through the answers. So how many Breton girls were there? So the girls were called Maisie, Musette and Mimi. So there are 3 of them. You could also just look at the picture and count 1, 2, 3. That would have been absolutely fine. How does the illustrator help us to know that Katie is on a farm? Well, I showed you he's written on a haystack. So instead, if we go back to the pages before, it's just white writing because this has come straight out the book. On this one, he's actually written on the haystack, so you can see it's been used to help get the feeling that she's on a farm. So there are 3 girls and he's made the background out of hay. And these are our last questions for today. We're going to leave Katie with the girls and carry on with this one next time. We're too tired, said Maisie. We've been dancing all day, said Musette. What about you, said Katie to Mimi. Only if I can bring Zazu, said Mimi, picking up her dog. I suppose that's all right, said Katie. Let's go. I think this author needs to go to Mrs. Jalaf's English lesson and learn about using other words instead of said. We've got said, 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 said. It's a bit boring. There are so many other words he could have used. It's a shame. Let me read that again. We're too tired, said Maisie. We've been dancing all day, said Musette. How about you, said Katie to Mimi. Only if I can bring Zazu, said Mimi, picking up her dog. I suppose that's all right, said Katie. Let's go. So your last questions for today. Why were the girls tired? And what deal does Mimi make with Katie? So she says, I'll do something if. That's the deal. I'll make a deal with you. So pause the video, answer those 2 questions, come back and we'll go through the answers. So why were the girls dancing? We're too tired, said May. Why were they tired? We've been dancing all day. So you would need to change that to they had been dancing all day. And then what deal does Mimi make with Katie? So Mimi says she will help only if she can bring Zazu. So only if she can bring Zazu or only if she can bring her dog. So that's the deal she makes. She'll help, but only if her dog can come with. And if Zazu can come with, that's absolutely fine. So thank you for joining me for the first part of our story and our comprehension, and we shall carry on with it next time.